Hello there. So, if you find that your mind is getting out of control and you're getting lost in thoughts of anxiety and stress, this is what I wanted to talk to you on this video today. So, what do we do when our head is crowded with thoughts, anxious thoughts, stressful thoughts? How do we quieten the mind to get to that quiet space? So, this is a question that I struggle with for decades. And I know for me, as well as for many people, the answer to that problem always seemed to be that I needed to get into my mind and I needed to analyze it. And I needed to ask myself questions, why am I feeling like this? Where does this come from? What's this feeling telling me? What do I need to do about this? And in effect, what I'm doing is adding more and more noise to that already noisy mind. So what's the alternative? It's really important to remember that there is a calm space always there within us. And it's almost like it gets crowded out because there's so much other noise going on top. But when we take the noise away, there it is. So first of all, understand that quiet, calm state of mind is always there. But how do we get into it? If I've said, adding more noise and questions is not helping, how do we deal with that? Well, the answer is just really simply to see that our thinking isn't personal. It's not about us. It's not something that we need to take seriously. And what that means is that we can just let go of that judgment about what's going in our mind, because so often we can be adding judgment to the noise by thinking, well, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I shouldn't be thinking this. I shouldn't be doing this. And that sort of creates even more noise. So we can just let all that judgment go, because these thoughts aren't personal. They're not an indication of you and a judgment of you. And I suppose with that goes with the understanding that, these thoughts, some of them are just not true, and we don't have to analyze them, and we can just see them floating in and out. And in a way, the more that we see that, the more that we can see that we just don't need to fiddle with them. There's nothing to be done with them. In a way, it's a bit like, if you can imagine that we're all sat around a lovely outdoor fire, we're toasting the marshmallows, we're sat around a campfire. And what we do to build up our fire is we add more logs. In a way, that's what we're doing in our mind when we're adding more questions and we're adding more thought about that busy mind. We're adding more logs. And the way that we just allow that fire to go out is we just leave it to its own devices. We stop fueling it. We just sit back, we eat our toasted marshmallows, and we just let the fire die down. Now, sometimes people say to me, well, Dawn, that's great, but I've got this fabulous technique. What I like to do is go away, meditate for 10 minutes, or I like to take 38 really deep breaths. And that's brilliant. If that works for you, that's absolutely brilliant. But in a way, what that's like doing is, going back to our scenario of our campfire, it's like throwing a bucket of cold water on the fire, or maybe throwing a heavy blanket to dampen the oxygen so the fire can't burn. And it's all going to have that same effect. It's all going to work. But what I've noticed, and what I've noticed with people that I worked with, is that those techniques, use them if you want to. There's nothing to stop you doing them. But when you see more and more that our natural state is this calm mind, and the less that we do to fuel the busy mind, the more it just calms away, we discover that there's no need for those techniques. We can do them if we want to, but actually they're not necessary. They're not really required. We just walk away. We allow the mind to quieten in its own time. We don't fiddle with it, and then it quietens, and that calm space returns to us. So I hope that's made some sense to you. Obviously, if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear them. Post them, comment below, and just let me know what you think about that. But it just makes life so much easier, so much more simpler, knowing that there is nothing that we need to do with that busy mind. Just let it deal with itself, and it will calm. So thanks so much for joining me, and I hope to be back with you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.